Ben, listen, man, it's been a rough year and a half for New England fans.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even bring that up. I thought we were just gonna not yeah, congratulations on another.
Yeah, it had only been one championship since I moved to California. Uh, I don't know. I used to care a lot about this
I'll
stuff.
say I don't have teams, so I don't really like the Knicks are just terrible. If they ever win, that would be great.
Yeah, yeah. Again, Celtics are I watched the Patriots in the playoffs. I watched some of this Red Sox team. Not a ton, to be honest. I got to go to the game on Saturday night. That was cool. But yeah, it's cool. Very good Red Sox team. It doesn't mean as
They're
much to
great.
me as it did when I was a kid, and it really was a lot more special. But also, being in this line of work certainly makes you have less team allegiances. So
Yeah, that's how it should.
yeah,
Team.
but I would rather
Anyway,
have the Red Sox win than any other team. So congratulations to them. Great job, everyone. Sorry for those of you whose teams didn't get there, because that's usually what happens to most people's teams. A team that did get there last night also was the New Orleans Saints. Did you watch that game?
I did. We gonna do some recap today, just to start off the week, and then we're gonna get to Showdown. So we got a lot to do. I did watch the game last night. I was excited for it. Obviously, I think that was. I don't think this is a hot take at all. That was the craziest game last year. That the Diggs catch,
Crazy.
just absurd. So I wanted to watch it. Saints, yeah, the Saints look good. It's an anomaly. They lost to the Bucks, and now they're rolling. Um, Thielen gets there regardless. Like he was just not good last night. When he caught that ball, when they were like, "Oh, I think that put him over 100." I honestly thought he had like 15 yards up to that point. It was ridiculous, but we'll see. I have actually a pretty good primetime team going with some Patriots left tonight. I had the Saints defense, and Cousins, as we talk about, he's not immune to throwing a pick six here or there.
No, that was a bad one. And they just kept going after PJ Williams. That's the thing, is I think Thielen had like two pretty decent catches right off the bat, and then didn't
Mhm.
do anything for a while. He had the fumble, so yeah, looked ugly for a bit. He missed his floor of 29, but barely, just sub floor game.
Off game,
Yeah.
27.
Yeah, tough break for Thielen owners. But yeah, this is From A to B, presented to you by Osmo.com. If you had not realized that, I am Andrew. This is Ben. We talk about sports today. Yes, we're gonna do a lot of recap and then get into Showdown. A little bit of Showdown talk from last night. Uh, it was. I mean, I lost $50 on Showdown, which is certainly not something I'm going to be upset about in general. But it was a little bit frustrating considering I almost entirely had Diggs and Kamara in the captain spot, and then Thielen kind of getting there at the end, and too much Breeze, too much Traquan Smith, just not the right plays around it. You needed, basically, your value last night was the Saints defense and kicker, which it was a reasonable correlation. You had if you went with a lot of Saints, running game, skip Breeze, defense and kicker tend to be somewhat correlated with that. And then run it back with Vikings pass catchers. Those were the lineups that ended up winning, and that's a reasonable story. So,
Yeah, no, that absolutely was. I played a little Showdown. I was more focused on prime time. And yeah, there it was. It was a little frustrating because it's harder to get Cousins and I didn't think it was a great idea to obviously stack the Vikings and then use the Saints defense, which is kind of what you would have been perfect. But I have some things going thanks to Diggs. Diggs was good last night. Michael Thomas was kind of quiet, to be honest. But yeah, when you're looking at Showdown, and then we'll get into the main slate, the thing was there was no other value that did anything.
right.
Ben Watson, zero. Traquan Smith, irrelevant. Treadwell, irrelevant. And then, the multitude of the Josh Hills and those type of guys, no one really made the impact. So it was basically you needed, Saints defense, Saints kicker. That's the only way you're really hitting anything besides the main weapons.
Yeah, and it did make some sense. I had a fair amount of Saints kicker last night because it was hard. There weren't unless you wanted to roll with Cam Meredith, who also bageled, there was really nothing super cheap in terms of value plays of guys that were really projected to play at all. So I thought it did make some sense to go there. I had some Vikings defense, actually, which turned out to not be good at all. But thinking sort of it went the other way kind of deal. And I really liked Kamara a lot. So, yeah,
I mean, it's Showdown. Like I said, it's fun to play. Recapping it, it's, you look at it in hindsight, and that last night made a lot more sense than some of the ones we've seen kind of in the past couple weeks, where it's like a shootout and the kickers, and I didn't really see the connection. It's one game, anything can happen. Well, last night told the story, and that's what we obviously are always advocating for Showdown.
Yeah, exactly. Try to find a way to make that work. It was pretty cool. I don't know people out there if you follow Dan Orlovsky on Twitter, famous Lions backup quarterback, but he does this really awesome sort of 2-minute film breakdowns a lot, sort of diagnosing a play. And one that I thought was cool, you brought this up sort of pre-show about those whole just little flip passes that everyone does now that I think were kind of popularized by like the Alex Smith to Travis Kelce thing from the last couple of years. But people run those a lot now, and there was a touchdown last night, Breeze to Kamara, that was technically a touchdown pass. And I was checking out the Orlovsky breakdown of it, and he was just saying, like, the Saints often line up Kamara out wide and then just bring him into the backfield to line up next to the quarterback to kind of, you put people in motion generally just to diagnose whether or not it's man or zone. And to sort of see where the assignments are. And the Saints do that all the time and will bring, Kamara back behind the line and, sort of re-diagnose the play, maybe call an audible, blah, blah, blah. And they just didn't last night. He just kept running, and then they snapped the ball and immediately got it to him, and the Vikings just had no idea it was coming. So it's pretty cool to see that breakdown. I don't know. I like to check out plays like that, but they're fun Twitter follow.
He is. Yeah, you got me on him. That's going to be a thing going forward. It's kind of annoying, but cheap touchdowns all over. Chat, obviously, when we're talking Showdown, if you have questions, drop them in. We got Will in the chat. he was talking about Ty Montgomery, that was bad. And it was much worse when you read the explanation about him just defying the coaches. Like, that's worse than fumbling, obviously.
Yeah, it's not great.
He's got to be gone. Gone? What do they need him for?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't. It's just, that's a bad one. Obviously, Hugh Jackson gone. Todd Haley gone, which I didn't think those I thought those were anti-correlated. It seemed like that was a power struggle that somehow they both lost. So yeah, we'll see about all that.
Does that mean is Williams in charge now?
I didn't see. There's limited options about who would be the intern.
No, it's out. That's just a couple minutes ago.
Greg Williams?
Yep. Browns promoted defensive coordinator Greg Williams to interim head coach.
From Bounty Gate to a head coach. Okay. Anyway, main slate yesterday. It was I don't want to say a weird one. They're all kind of strange in their own way. That late, the 3-4 o'clock games, weird games. Like, just there was no scoring, and then the Rams got some late, but just not what I had thought. And like a lot of people, I thought we did a pretty good, Mixon and Connor.
Yeah,
that was some good stuff. I had a lot of Cam, who was, I thought, inexplicably underowned. I knew he wouldn't be popular, but I had him at like 1% in a lot of places. And then this is why you don't trust the Raiders. I'll just start it there.
Or the Rams or the Packers. Like, they all trolled us. Like, none of them had the people that we thought were going to get off. It was ugly.
Martavis, obviously, I'm not bringing any news. Most people saw this. He not only did he get 0, but he didn't get a chance to not get 0. He just basically didn't play.
Played 7 snaps, I think.
Yeah. So he played 75% of snaps. Amari Cooper is traded. The offensive coordinator, I believe the direct quote was, he's been explosive and he looked great in practice. and now he doesn't play for Brandon LaFell. I don't really understand that. 30% of most tournaments didn't really understand that, so it was frustrating.
Fooled the Colts, you know? Sharp.
Yeah, sharp move. They only lost by 14 this time. Nice job, John. Yeah, I mean, obviously for my teams, that hurt a lot. I had some really good teams with Mark Davis. Could have used even like 6 points, just something. Would have made me some money.
Yeah, you had one in the power sweep that was up to like, well, it was in like 5th place or something like that. It was not far out of first with just Davis going, and then ended up, what, 10, 12 points out or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. It was, but I just want to look at a little. I'm just recapping. I have a $5 double up on my screen. I used Cam in cash, which again, I didn't even mean to. And this is where we talk about, you don't have to confine to the chalk. Now, Cam was 0.4% owned in the gigantic $5 double up, but I really liked that spot. I thought he was cheap enough where you can get him in. I wasn't trying to make certainly a stand there, but that's kind of what happened. I paired him up with Gurley and Phillip Lindsay, who were both, basically 50% owned. And that was really what carried my team. Steelers defense, 80% owned in double ups. Everyone kind of went there.
That was wild because I remember talking about it on Friday, and not, I was pretty adamant that I liked the Steelers the best, and I did not think that was like going to be the real popular play, but
they picked up so much steam. And yeah, I mean, in cash, there was a lot of, and I get it. Martavis was 30% owned in this double up, which that was brutal. Jalen Richard was another popular guy. He didn't kill you. I had him in cash. So I was able to get there in cash. It was mostly thanks to Cam. He was great. They're rolling. I think Panthers are low key, one of the best teams in the league, and nobody is talking about them.
I don't know about one of the best teams in the league, but they're pretty decent. I mean, beating the Ravens is not anything special. That team is so overrated. But
no, I'm with you there. The Panthers are rolling, and I don't know. I think that's a hot take. They've
had some like not great games though. I don't know. Their defense is not what it used to be, and then Cam is Cam. Like, yeah, he's amazing. He's like it's like Matthew Stafford. I get it.
Yeah, but Cam, I don't know. His ability to he's so different because of the way he plays, and he can run. Yeah. When he's rolling like that, like I watched a lot of that game, he just is in such good control. It looks so effortless. Olsen was great. They were using guys and DJ Moore, the gadget guys. It was an impressive showing. That's all.
Yeah, no, it was they look good.
Bowl champs, lock it down.
I had an all right week too. Yeah, got there in cash. I scored like 159, mostly due to Larry Fitz, who was 4% owned in cash. Was not really. I wasn't expecting him to be that low owned. I don't know. I just thought horrible defense, and he seemed like a nice play. He was down to 4,500, whatever it was yesterday. I went a little different at running back. I played Connor Mixon and Kareem Hunt. Was able to get all of them in there, and that worked
just mattered the 7K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That worked out pretty well. Survived a 2.4 from Jordy and a bagel from Uzoma, but whatever. It was a week with a lot of, I didn't have Tavis in cash, so there were a lot of unfortunate plays for people. So
who was your cash QB?
Rodgers.
Okay.
I was all in on Rodgers yesterday, which sucked.
I mean, we talk about this time and time again, and it's with every quarterback, but this has happened now twice in Rodgers types games. Packers took a lead, and that is not what you want to see. Even though you would think, Rodgers must be doing great. Well, A, they started running the ball, and B, you want him in psycho catch-up mode. That's where the monster games come from. We see it all over the league. Furious comeback. That's not what we saw, and that was a killer.
Yeah, the Packers' defense was really, really good for the first half, and Rodgers just didn't have to do a whole ton. Like, I was really hoping that was going to be 24-14 at halftime, and we just saw Rodgers like unload the clip, and really thought there was a strong chance of that happening. But then the Rams pulled it out anyway, like just did their thing. Gurley still scored over 30 points somehow. Like, it was kind of a wild one. And it was also one where it was just kind of hard to hit the right receiver. Like I had a lot of Robert Woods, and then like with Aaron Rodgers, I was playing him with Geronimo Allison and Jimmy Graham, who like the Graham getting caught on the 1-inch line really sucked.
Yeah.
And then Geronimo, like MVS and ESB, were still running ahead of Allison, which makes sense. I shit on Allison for being one of the slowest wide receivers in the game. He shouldn't be out there, but I really thought that he was just going to go back to getting the crazy workload. So, my bad. But
yeah, it happens. I mean, a lot of teams right now. It's tough to peg the production. Jets, obviously the Raiders. A lot of bad teams. That's my trouble right now.
I mean, let's talk about the Raiders is worth talking about because it wasn't just us, obviously. These people were all chalk, but the popular plays were to go with Carr or just on their own were Richard, Jordy Nelson, and Davis. And the guys who actually got it done were Cook, Seth Roberts, and Brandon LaFell, who's still in the league.
Didn't know he was on the team. The rest of them, Seth Roberts was a good play. I did not have any. I get that Jack had him. Shout out to Jack, he won. Nice tournament on FanDuel, and he's in the chat right now, gloating about Fitzmagic, taking back over Bucks territory. So we have that. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Cook was a good play too. It just
who?
Jared Cook.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, he was. It is what it is. I think for my own personal, I need to do a better job of kind of looking between the line of a bad team, even though I know, like Jermaine Kearse, I knew that he was going to get a ridiculous amount of the usage and target share in the Jets offense. And I didn't think, it wasn't like I thought Darnold was going to throw for 400 yards, but I have to start realizing a little more that how ineffective some of these offenses can be in bad spots. Yeah, he got 10 targets and he caught a couple of them and he did nothing. And I get it kind of on the cash side, but there were a couple situations yesterday where I found myself digging in almost in a basketball mentality, which there is some of that in football, but it's not exactly like basketball where it's just, oh, he's in 35 minutes. He has to get there at a low price. Yeah.
And you say, I knew that Jermaine Kearse was going to get a big share of this. Like
2 weeks ago. Yeah, good point.
Didn't. No, because we all knew that 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
that's right. But I'll put it like this. It turns out that he did. He got 10 targets, and you look at that, and it still doesn't just translate to success, and that he was not great. But yeah, Martavis was my real letdown. That really hurt.
Yeah, that was a real bummer. And yeah, just getting the Rams and the Packers backwards was kind of a pain. Trying to think. Any other big takeaways from yesterday? Patrick Mahomes is good.
Yeah, he's good. Mixon, well, my boy, he was great. I was really happy to see. I felt honestly like I attacked the slate pretty well. It was a fun week. It was just not connecting too many landmines. The Raiders stacks didn't have the right stack teams. That was another thing. Like I liked the Bengals. I had talked about this all week. Nixon was my number one play the whole week. Didn't mind AJ Green. Tyler Boyd I was fine with. I did not pair them up with Dalton. I didn't love the way that constructed as a stack. Turned out you really needed that. Ran it back with Mike Evans, who somehow was 20 yards in the clear on an 80-yard touchdown. I don't really understand that. Helped me immensely, though.
It's because of Fitzpatrick. Once Fitzpatrick gets out there, Mike Evans is just open.
Angels in the outfield style. I don't really see that. Yeah, that was a wild game.
Yeah.
Could have used without O.J. Howard getting that last touchdown.
Yep. I had a few Cardinals stacks. I was talking about those as maybe crazy cheap ones, and it was fine. Actually my best lineup was a Rosen, David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald combo, but DJ he was out for a bunch of their last drive with the concussion, and then he did come back, but they just kind of took care of it. No problem. I would have hoped for a little bit more high scoring of an affair, but I think Rosen's not a bad quarterback. It's weird to say, but and again, it was more banking on they got rid of their guy, they got rid of their offensive coordinator. Maybe something changes, and that's when those big misprices happen, right? We see that every year. There's always some team in week one that's like, how the hell did these guys, what happened? Or, even So it's not always necessarily week one. Like, I was really into Mitch Trubisky early on this year, and then it wasn't until whatever week that was that he scored his 46. And it's like you're putting out a new scheme. Something new is going to happen. I will probably buy. I haven't even looked at next week's slate, but I will most likely be trying to buy on some Baker's action and stacking up the Browns just because something's going to be different. Like
they got the Chiefs.
They got the Chiefs? Bang. Worst defense in the league. It's perfect.
You tell them. I had the Chiefs defense yesterday. They were good. They put some pressure on. And, yeah, I mean, week by week, it's tricky. Trubisky's running more. That's something I have to start factoring in. He's got some upside because of that. Jordan Howard, that was another guy I just want to touch upon real quick. He did his thing. The Tariq Cohen, that was a complete breakdown by the Jets. I don't understand how that happened either. Threw a screen pass to him, and he exploded through. But the Bears, they did lean on their defense. They controlled the game on the ground, especially late. Anthony Miller found the end zone as well. But I think more and more, teams are, at this part of the season, they kind of know who they are, especially the ones that aren't in turmoil. And it does become a little clearer. Now, with injuries, with a lot of guys, that's the tricky part, of course. But on a scheme level, I do think this is the time of the year where it becomes pretty clear at what teams are good at and what teams struggle with.
Yeah, I think that is true. And the Browns, they, for all the talk about how much better they were, like, their weapons are not really particularly good. Jarvis Landry does not an offense make. You know what I mean?
I'm a Baker hater, so I think that they should get more out of that. Yeah, fire Baker, bring back Hugh Jackson. But anyway, yeah, it was another week in the books. Do you want to move on to the battle tonight in the AFC East? Just the 14-point Patriots spread. Josh Allen-less Buffalo Bills. Or no, you just still want to talk about it?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's get into it. I'm just trying to think of, like, should we get into something else first? Because I don't know that there's, like, you, me, and Laffy together before a Thursday. Like, we can we can have a lot of stuff going. I don't know if we've got 37 minutes of conversation.
I could do like a 20-minute Josh Allen monologue towards the end.
True.
I mean, if there's anything else you wanted to touch upon, I just honestly, in terms of every week I go back and I recap, my teams. I try to look for what worked, what didn't, and this is one of the weeks I was really happy with everything that I did. Did it work out perfectly? Definitely not. Like I said, I had Tavis, a lot of him, but I didn't think there were too many surprises. I didn't think there was that many things that stuck out from an ownership perspective. The big things were a couple games, as you said, Packers in particular. The script flipped. That's going to affect the performances. The Raiders, the roles weren't what I thought they were. Everything else kind of in the range of outcomes that I thought was pretty probable, and that I was happy with that.
Yeah, same. I think I got most of the week right, and it feels good. Whatever. It's like it was a fine week. Made a little bit. Like if you get there in cash, it's like, all right, this is fine.
Yeah.
Sort of, anticlimactic. Didn't have any crazy wins or crazy sweats, just because those afternoon games were such a bust for me personally. But it's kind of a bummer considering I basically had stupid exposures to Connor and Mixon. But what are you gonna do?
We did have a question just now in chat. We could touch upon this. How did McCaffrey look yesterday? He was all right. He had a nice touchdown run. He caught a ridiculous touchdown. That was complete fluke. Cam threw it to Funchess. It hit a Ravens hand. It deflected straight up in the air, and Christian McCaffrey out of nowhere jumped and caught the ball. So they were effective, but I still think, and this is why I played Cam and Cash, that offense starts and ends with him. He controls everything, and McCaffrey kind of goes as Cam goes. So you can always pair them up, though.
Yeah, they make sense together, certainly. But, yeah, exactly. They're the team basically only – I think that's the problem I have with them overall is, like, they're so reliant on Cam, like, and he just has some bad games, man.
He does. But man, when he looks good, it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
He just looked in control in all aspects yesterday against a good defense. Yeah, they were home. And the Ravens, I'm with you. I don't think they're as good as some people may think. But
they're definitely not. And they're not well equipped to deal with the Cam McCaffrey Olsen combo. Like that middle of the field, that's not what they do well.
Plus 3.5 yesterday.
Who, the Panthers were?
Yeah.
Damn.
Shady. I know. Well, we'll see. But yeah. That's
all I'm saying is, like, I think that this was I haven't watched a ton of that game, but I'm not totally surprised by that, and I think it's more like Cam specifically is a tough matchup for what the Ravens want to do on defense, and the Ravens defense is not nearly as good as it has looked. They haven't really played anybody. Like they beat up on, it was like they took care of the Steelers.
Then they lost to the Browns.
Yeah, and the Steelers, like, that was when, Ben was really bad the first few weeks of the season. That was more on him. That was like just missing wide open throws and stuff. So
Ravens hater.
They're not good. I mean, you agree with me, don't you?
I do. Yeah, no, I do. I really think I'll put it like this. I think the Panthers win the NFC South
over the Saints.
Yeah,
that's a hot take.
Put it on the board.
Cat,
remember this moment. Panthers are going to win the NFC South.
I get the field.
Yeah, I'll give you the Saints and the Bucs. Yeah, you can have the Falcons too. Yeah, with Julio and the gang.
I mean, Saints versus Panthers, I will take straight up happily for whatever
for
you
dollars.
Want. Yeah.
No, but you heard it here. All right. So yeah, this is. I mean,
if we're talking head-to-heads, what was our head-to-head in golf last week? Did we have one? We always do.
Mine was wrong. I had Matthew Fitzpatrick to do something.
Right.
He was good up until a point, and then he was horrible.
Was it Fitzpatrick versus Stanley?
No. I don't think so, because I really like Stanley. It's like my... Anyway.
Yeah.
If you remember that, chime in. Yeah, so we got...
Oh, it's probably Harmon on my part.
That's possible. I think it was, actually.
Why would I do that? That was like a $1,600 difference.
Because you were talking about how odds-wise it really wasn't that big of difference for top 10 equity, which is true.
Yeah, I believe it, but they both stunk, so.
Yeah. Quick plug, shameless plug. Tomorrow, we will be on with Tim Frank talking golf. We have a real golf tournament. Not that it's a great one, but Shot Tracker America. Yeah. So come on by for a real golf breakdown tomorrow. It will be nice. We have stats to reference.
Exactly. Yeah, and the Asian Tour no-cut swing comes to an end.
Yeah. No, that was a tough 3 weeks, but we got through it. Now we'll see if we can get through. I'm one of the few people that likes.
Deadlift's like Jack is pumped that he wants us. He's trolling about how it's going to be hilarious when the Saints and Panthers both lose because Fitzmagic is going to come back and beat everybody. The Bucs defense is atrocious. They are not, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is atrocious. Like, he may have some good games, but sorry, buddy, it's not going to happen.
There's nothing to. When I add to this wall, I will have my Warren Sapp jersey framed somewhere over there. I like the Bucs a lot. I used to go on the pirate ship when I was a kid. They're terrible. The defense is horrible. McCoy and Quan not walking through that door, especially Quan, for a while, and that's a team we're going to be picking on for a while as the year closes.
I think we said something about the Browns playing the Chiefs, and I was like, worst defense in the league. Dude, that was, the Chiefs are a bad defense. The Bucs are the worst defense in the league, though.
And if it's not them, it's that whole division. Just anyway, Buffalo Bills.
I don't know. I also didn't realize, because not that this is surprising because I don't watch college, but I didn't realize that Eli Apple and Marshawn Lattimore were the secondary teammates for 2 years at Ohio State.
Yeah, with Michael Thomas.
He was not in the secondary.
No, but that team was stacked.
Yeah.
There was one more dude.
The safety, Von Bell.
Yeah. Yeah, Ohio State, they churn out some good players. Not against Purdue, though.
But those guys have been all I mean, Eli Apple's been a disaster his whole career. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But yeah, that was funny to see. Anyway, let's see here.
You'll do anything to avoid talking about these Bills, man. You really don't like Buffalo.
No, they're atrocious, man. It's just it's a boring team for fantasy. I mean, they're fun to play a defense against, but I do not like to watch the Bills. Are you excited to watch Derek Anderson, or they're like,
no,
vanilla ass defense that the Pats are just gonna slowly cut away at,
No, I'm not excited. Obviously, I would be really excited to watch Josh Allen. Not that this is great, because it doesn't matter. They have no semblance of an offensive line. And we were talking before the show, the Patriots are just like one team. They never, it seems, lose games like this. That total anomaly game, especially not early in the year. That's the time to get them. So yeah, it's going to be an ugly game. Having said that, I don't think it's the kind of game where it's just, even though it's a huge mismatch, it doesn't scream demolition to me either. It screams slow, methodical, 28-14, just where it's the Patriots are up, the Patriots are still up, the Bills are always within contact, but they're never actually threatening.
Yeah, I don't think they just blow them out of the water unless Derek Anderson starts throwing pick sixes.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be more on Derek Anderson than Tom Brady if this is a blowout.
I agree with that. Yep. And so to bring it into this slate, we got a lot of interesting stuff. So just right off the top, Sony Michel out. Gronk, I believe, he's either trending in or he's in. It looks like he's going to play. I don't see, and this is your account, so I don't see the Patriots running James White heavily. Yeah, he gets an uptick in carries, but I assume that if say Derek Anderson does throw a couple early and they punch it in, what do you think happens if the Patriots have a comfortable lead? Is it the Kenyon Barner show?
I guess that's possible. I don't think that they will just. I mean, they were enjoying doing that with Sony. So we'll see. But I think they'll keep trying to move the ball a little bit. I mean, Barner may get a fair amount of carries, but again, what are we looking at? 20 carries or something like that for. I think he's very live for the 20 carry, 80 yards and a touchdown game, which is certainly useful. But
you're talking Barner.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a situation, I'm almost more referencing James White, who, I get it. He's certainly in play. I have him in primetime tonight as well. It's just, I don't know how much of an uptick I don't think they want to run him a ton. Last week he had 11 carries for 40 yards. He made his impact where he normally does. 8 catches, 57, and 2 touchdowns receiving. That's not going to really change in the sense of, I don't think he becomes the lead back here. I would expect Kenyon Barner to get those carries.
Yeah, I think that's a lock. James White is not he's not a runner. That's just not what he's going to do.
No. Do you worry? So the Bills defense, Chad was just pointing this out. I don't think the Patriots passing game will be shut down by any stretch, but I do think that Tre'Davious White, he's up there. He's a guy I take notice to. I'm not well versed with that stuff in terms of, is he going to take away Josh Gordon? Do they try to put him on Edelman? The Patriots have so many weapons. It's very hard to kind of predict A, where they attack, and B, what the defense tries to take away.
Yeah, I don't think he's much of a wander into the slot guy, if I remember correctly.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, and I'm just, sure, that's a bit of a less enticing matchup. Tre'Davious White's decent, but I don't think the Bills have anybody you need to be like a monster defense to be a real problem for the Patriots, I think. And they're not a monster defense. They're pretty good.
No, I think it's more though, and again, this is just how I'm interpreting it. The Patriots are the kind of team, A, because they're really smart. If you have someone like Tre'Davious White, they say, you know what? We have 7 other ways to beat you. We're not going to even bother. Even if they could exploit it, it's kind of just like a risk-reward thing for them. So I could envision a scenario, say he's on Josh Gordon a lot, where Josh Gordon's just not utilized a ton because they can go to Edelman. I think Hogan is in play tonight. if Gronk comes back, he's been, for Gronk standards, straight terrible. He's been banged up, hasn't done much. And you have I don't want to say it's a two-headed monster at running back because this is not Kenyon Barner. I've seen him play enough to know he's not a monster. But these guys are in play, so I'm not sure I want to take a matchup that's not great on paper just from a usage standpoint.
Yep, I think that's fair.
This is also, I would say, Patriots defense captain spot certainly going to be a somewhat popular and definitely viable.
I would say, I would put the over-under on like 60%. This is going to be the most popular defense on a Showdown slate we've seen in a long time.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, that makes me obviously a lot less interested. Do you think this creeps into, we talked about this on Giants-Falcons with Saquon, that you could possibly get leverage by just using the Patriots defense non-captain?
Sorry, say that again?
Yeah, what do you...
No, there's an issue with the NBA page not reading, so
I was saying...
Sorry.
No worries. I was saying, when we had Giants-Falcons, Saquon was massively popular. You talked about you could actually get leverage by playing him just not in the captain spot.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of see that to an extent with the Patriots defense here, where maybe I don't use them as captain as much, but still.
I did not mean that they'd be 60% in the captain.
No.
60%. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that would be extreme. It does I talked Miami Texans game. I was like, you could actually roll the defense on Miami. Said, I don't think you can mess around with the Bills defense tonight. Brady just doesn't make those mistakes.
No.
And I'm all for A, I hate the Patriots, and B, I like the Bills. I like that defense. It just doesn't, from a DFS standpoint, I think they play better in real life than how they score.
Yeah. They're not it's the Patriots and Bills both don't really rush the passer a ton, which makes it hard to score fantasy points. That said, Derek Anderson can certainly overcome any of those issues. I think if you're going to play the Bills defense, you might as well just play Brian Hoyer with it. Like, just be like, whatever. Because I agree with you. Like, Tom Brady's not screwing this up enough for the Bills to do anything. The only way that works is if he gets, like, actually hurt, and then Hoyer comes in and starts throwing awful passes.
That's a lot of... Yeah. I will let 12% of the teams kill themselves with Bills defense, and I'll work from there.
Mm-hmm.
We got a home game for Gronk. He always gets up for these Buffalo games. He's from up there. He'll be ready to go. It's not a great.
I saw some clip of him talking about how people will be drinking since like 10 in the morning. It's gonna be awesome. Like the party doesn't stop.
Well, in his world, the party it doesn't stop. I'm sure he will be raring to go. I kind of like him in the captain spot. He's been an afterthought. He's banged up. Price is not where it would be if obviously based on if it was similar to Kamara last night. I was kind of stunned where his price was, where one bad game and it's like, well, quick to adjust. He's still Kamara.
Yes, he is. It is a big deal, like just even watching it, like the amount of and he converted everything last night, so it was fine. But you do see a lot of, it was not, the Mark Ingram workload is significantly more than the Mike Gillislee workload was.
Oh, that's a given. That's true. Mark Ingram, not that this is important, that guy runs dangerously hard. It's like a shot out of a cannon. Every time he carries the ball, it's insane. But
did you realize he was two-time Pro Bowler Mark Ingram?
I don't. Pro Bowler though, like especially at running back.
Yeah. It's
like if you're all pro, now that's serious business. I always confuse those two.
You shouldn't. All pro is just the actual best players in the league. Pro Bowl is sometimes there's like 8 quarterbacks that make.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're a 2-time All Pro Mark Ingram, now I have some questions.
Yeah.
2-time Pro Bowler, so he went to Hawaii after the first 30 running backs were like, nah.
Yeah, I'm all good. Like, yeah, exactly. 4 of them are in the Super Bowl, so they're not playing.
That too, yeah. It's Mark Ingram's one of the many Alabama running backs. They've had just like a string of, not even that they were all great pros. Obviously, Trent Richardson's in there, but just guys, they churn them out. They have 4 on the team at every turn. Anyway, enough of that. Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping it pretty simple, and I it's not the best game to break down. Patriots weapons. Prefer Gronk and Edelman, kind of over Josh Gordon. I think Hogan. He hasn't been good this year, but I wouldn't be stunned to see him get involved. The big question I started at the beginning of the show. I'm a little confused at how prevalent the running game is and exactly how good of a play Kenyon Barner is. He's one of the more polarizing guys on the slate.
Yeah, Buffalo is the sort of, funnily, they're not as good against the run as they are against the pass, right? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, the way to, I guess, attack them would be through the run. Their secondary is a good unit, especially the stress that they get put on. Like, that factors in, obviously.
Yeah. Indeed.
On the other side, though, we've talked Patriots. I mean, you're going to have to, as easy as it's, got to play one, and it's not the Bills' defense, so you actually got to play one. I mean, Shady would be the guy who probably is, especially, again, I don't play Showdown Cash. If I did, Shady's the kind of guy, his floor, not that it's great, but, he's going to catch some, he's going to get some touches, where these receivers, Kelvin Benjamin showed a little life, but him and Zay Jones, I don't feel too comfortable with in that kind of format.
No, I don't think so. Derek Anderson is $7,000. Like, that's insane for a quarterback. He threw the ball 31 times last week. Put up 3 fantasy points.
That could be.
That's not going to happen again. I mean, that's impossible.
That's bad.
Yeah.
So
and granted, this Bills infrastructure for this offense is about as bad as it could be. Like, I mean, they've run out 3 horrible just kidding. Say we can't really evaluate the quarterback talent that they have because their offensive line is so bad. That's not true. We definitely can say that Peterman and Derek Anderson are not good.
Yeah, Josh Allen's an unknown. I think he's a GOAT, but I mean, I don't think he's an unknown. I know he's good, but other people, you know how it is. Anyway, I guess, I mean, Shady's going to be definitely the most popular build tonight. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out, and I don't think this is a crazy play at all. In years when they were a competent offense, this guy was a good DFS player. I'm going to have a good amount of Charles Clay tonight. He gets involved. He's kind of a pressure release if the heat is coming on Derek Anderson. Red zone target. He's been there. Just a good, solid player. And I don't think not that he's an afterthought. There are no afterthoughts on Showdown. But he's not going to be too popular relative to what we have to choose from tonight.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think those are kind of the guys that will get more looks. That is what the Patriots have a little bit of trouble with on defense because their front 7 is considerably slower than their secondary is. So, yeah, and Derek Anderson, I don't think he's going to be throwing jump balls for Kelvin Benjamin too often.
Your favorite player in the league.
He did. I mean, Derek Anderson made a Pro Bowl throwing nothing but jump balls one year, but that's because he had Braylon Edwards, who was just like this massive human, proto-Tavis. But I think it's Shady and Clay are certainly the most interesting Bills, and just be careful. Again, if you are worried about your chopping situation, Shady McCoy and 5 Patriots is going to be awfully popular tonight. For good reason. It should be. That's definitely the optimal. I would say it's probably close, I don't know, even odds or something that's the best lineup, but be careful.
And with Showdown, you can, I mean, depending on how much you play, it's not like you have to tell the same story on all your teams. Take a handful of, I'm going to just build the most obvious optimal lines. If that's what you want to do and you want to cover those bases. And then you can take a handful that say, I'm going against the grain here. I'm going to be more unique. And these are the ones that if it hits, you could be the only person. You could be one of 3. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. We did have just a question right now. Marcus Murphy worth a dart. On a Showdown, yeah, he's definitely, he's got some receiving skills. The Bills, Shady, you can't really predict injuries, but my God, that guy at least once a game is hurt. Uh, he's got some run. I don't think he's a core play by any stretch, but if you're making a bunch, I wouldn't hate jamming him in there in a couple.
Yeah.
He sees the field enough where, he's in the Aldrick Robinson bucket. He's going to have to maximize a couple of good potential targets or plays. And if he does, that can be a way to be unique. He's not going to be on many builds. That's for sure.
No, that's true. And he is like the sort of Tariq Cohen-y type. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd rather have a guy like that where even if he gets only a couple of touches, when he does, he actually has some upside within those touches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, somewhat off topic, but how active is Osmo in the Slack channel? He drops in. Obviously, a lot of times he's busy building and stuff, but he definitely tries to chime in. If within Slack, you can at the person. So like, a lot of people, if you have a question, throw up the name, and then people are pretty good about getting in there. Different times of the day, different people hanging out in different channels. I keep it NFL and golf mostly, but I'll drop in basketball and whatnot. You're in basketball doing those projection work.
Yeah, I hang out. I am also I am less involved in Slack than most of the other.
Yeah, I'm in there a lot. Just
front guys, just because. Yeah, my job is mostly behind the scenes. I have a lot of. I'd spend most of the day dealing with computer stuff. So.
Except when you come here to talk to me.
Exactly. We get to, I get my social time with you, and then, I try to hang out every once in a while, but it ends up being a lot trying to run all the projection updates up to lock. I don't usually have a chance to.
But yeah, Slack is
questions, but
the community itself is always. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's plenty of people who do. Yeah, exactly. We got Sharp Subs in there. We got everybody else. We had Lofty, Adam, Eddie. And hanging out in basketball too, Josh, the whole crew.
Everyone. Yeah, Spags. There's a ton of people, good subs, and like I said, I say this every stream. If you're interested in it, try it out for a week. We have trials and stuff, and see if you like it, and go from there.
It's very active. There's plenty of people to hang.
Oh yeah, that's not too active sometimes. It gets a little dangerously insane in there, but hopefully we'll connect on this showdown tonight. Is there any? God, this is one. The Bills, we were talking about all these other teams. The Bills have been such an afterthought. We've named 4 players from their offense, and one was Marcus Murphy. Realistically, teams, they run a lot more guys out there. There is going to be some guys you've never heard of in play tonight. Not super keen into them, but man, you just scroll down the Bills depth chart. Yikes! There's a couple tight ends. Andre Holmes is in. Jesus, I get it. It's an off. I would venture to say that this is one of the teams that most people, just on average, have seen virtually none of. Because who's watching this?
No, you don't watch the Bills. It's not fun.
I watched that because I'm a real Niners Cardinals. Everyone was making fun of that game. I was enjoying myself watching that. I think it was 5-3 at one point. It's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it wasn't it 3-2? Was that a safety starter, or what? Was that a different game? I'm trying to think.
No. Yeah, 5-3. It had to get
right to it.
I like it. Yeah. This is a team though. You can take some stabs, and I'm interested to see how the ownership ultimately shakes out within the Bills. People know Shady. Quarterback always is going to bring some, and then the weapons on the outside. They'll have some decent ownership. Other than that, though, I think this could be an opportunity to get for Showdown, some real low-owned options that aren't unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's bad, though. As much as I love breaking down Showdown, 2-touchdown favorite on the road.
This is less of a fun Showdown slate. Games like last night, I think, are where it's cool, where there's a lot of expensive studs and you have to make a decision on which ones you want. This is a little harder because it's pretty obvious who the plays you've got to get in are, and then it's trying to get weird with trash, which that can be fun, but
I don't know. I kind of part of me likes that in the sense that it makes the game theory aspect that much more interesting, where the suboptimal plays become optimal when you factor in what you're actually trying to do, which is to ultimately want to have teams that are not duped. Like that is the goal, even to an extent. That there's a fine line, but
Right. That's fun, but it's also like if you're fading a 50% owned Steven Gostkowski to play Marcus Murphy and you're waiting around for that, and he just doesn't get anything. That can be a little bit frustrating. Because I guess what I'm saying is it's more this game. A game like tonight is going to be won or lost with the $2,000 to $3,000 players versus a game like last night could be won with having Steph Diggs and Alvin Kamara over the other guys.
You're right. There's no I don't mind that as much as you. I'm not again Showdown. It's just different. It's a different mindset from regular DFS, and sometimes I do kind of struggle transitioning from looking at, you obviously are factoring in ownership on every slate, but this is different. This is where sometimes the quality of the play is almost secondary in different spots where you're just saying, I know this guy's going to be on the field for 15 snaps, but he's only 8% owned, and he might get one red zone look, and I'm going to roll the dice here. That's a thing on Showdown. Doesn't really happen on the main slate.
It's true.
Then again, I did that with Tavis by mistake. What do you think about? We didn't mention Chris Ivory, did we?
I don't believe we did.
Where is he? I mean, obviously, like anyone, I know this isn't great. Should you play him? I don't have much interest in him. He's in play, of course. He could get some work here and there. The ground and pound of him, obviously Shady is back too. I don't think that's how the Bills are effective tonight.
Right. I agree with that. I think that's the main issue, is that someone like Ivory, you're hoping that he's able to, grind out a bunch of yards on the ground, and I think that they'll be playing from far enough behind. The Bills' defense is pretty good, so it can keep them in some games against weaker opponents. But like, they're not going to stop. They're not good enough to stop the Patriots. So I don't see a big path. It's an unlikely pathway for Ivory to get there. Again, you can tell a story where it's just this is a trash game and the Bills kind of stick around and it's a bit of a rock fight. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that happens. I just don't find it particularly likely. So
yeah. No, I think that's fair. Yeah, of course. A guy like that, he could get goal line work. There could be a penalty in the end zone. Boom. Ivory, like the LeGarrette Blount style. A lot of stuff would have to happen. And he's another one. If he would be, it's not like he's going to be non-existently owned. People are going to play Chris Ivory, not going to be overly popular. I would rather take a step down to someone, honestly, like Marcus Murphy, who has home run upside. Is he going to get there? Probably not, but that's not the point. It's in the rare chance that he does, he could be the guy that you need to have to get up there. I don't see Chris Ivory being that guy too many times.
Yep, I think that's true as well. Yeah. Ivory, you need to run for a 40-yard score, and even if he does that, that's only 10 points.
Yeah.
Marcus Murphy could do that. Marcus Murphy could do 10 points on one drive.
Yeah. And not even do anything. He just caught 7 screen passes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, it's true. Oh, man.
And if they really get blown out, I mean, I guess Shady was concussion, right? So that's not as big of a thing. That's not as... oh
wow.
God.
I know what you're saying. It's when you're back, you're just back. There
Yes.
shouldn't be any limitations.
Right.
Which is why that's another part. And I mentioned, and I'm not going back on it. I do like Gronk tonight. I get it. It is a little worrisome from the standpoint that his injuries, he's banged up kind of, I think he has an ankle, his back. Those are the kind of things, A, where he could be limited, and B, if they get out ahead, I would venture to say they kind of scale him back. He's one of the first, you're off the field, we're not going to you, because why would they in a game like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's totally fair. That said, it's Gronk, so, and he's not super expensive, so, I mean, you could see him. I think you're right, but it also might be too late. He might have 70 yards and a touchdown by then.
Like I said, I like Gronk tonight because what you just said, and I think it could be more than that. He could do serious damage in the first half and see 0 targets in the second half, and he could easily be a guy that you want on the team.
That is certainly true.
I don't think this is one where there's a ton of fantasy points to go around either. So, getting 13, 10, like it could be, it's not like a shootout where, you need 17 on all your spots or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Zay Jones is a value pick. Yeah. It's that's in your roulette wheel of you got to play a bill, so he's certainly in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I personally intend on playing a lot of kind of, playing mostly Patriots, 4 or even 5, including a lot of Gostkowski and the Pats defense, and some Kenjon Barner with just sort of random Bills running it back.
Do you think even if you make, say you're making 20 teams,
mm-hmm.
would you have any that are predominantly Bills stacks?
I don't think so. I just don't know.
I'm kind of in the same way. Yeah. I don't even see that narrative ever playing out where that's the optimal strategy.
Yeah, their offense is just so bad. And even if they play well, right, and they're hanging in, or even if it's extreme garbage, the Patriots still did a lot of. If it's extreme garbage where they're airing it out and doing fine against prevent defenses, then the Patriots are already blowing them out.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, and you mentioned this earlier, the only scenario where I could see that, and this is a huge, ridiculous one, is if Derek Anderson literally threw multiple pick sixes.
Yep.
And prevented the Patriots offense from doing anything while getting blown out.
Right. And that's when you're playing Patriots defense, Kenjon Barner, and Derek Anderson and a bunch of Bills. Good luck.
Yeah. You're banking on multiple, that's as far as I would go. Having Derek Anderson with Kelvin, Zay Jones, Clay, it's hard to conceptually think that could work tonight. Could it? I mean, I know. Showdown, anything can happen, but that really seems too far on one side of the pendulum.
Does for me as well. Sounds good. All right, any final words from you? Put it up here.
No, not really. We got golf tomorrow. A good week ahead. Another, I believe it's a 10-game slate. We'll be talking football up and down. Catch our shows here. We're going to have 3 fellas. We're going to have Friday Showdown, doing all sorts of stuff. If you can, give us a like on the video. We really do appreciate it. It actually helps. I'm learning all about all this stuff of how much that helps. They're getting us a lot smarter over at this company. Learn something new every day. I wish Josh Allen was playing. That's my final words. What can I say?
Fair enough words. Yeah, I think the Pats will probably just destroy them. You got a score pick?
I was just about to say that. I'm going to say 31-17. Not overly interesting. That's basically a push on the spread.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I'll say 31-13 just to be a little different.
31-13. Yeah, I mean, this is a game, even from a betting standpoint, I don't love the over-under. I certainly would not be betting the Bills. Don't have any interest in the Patriots. I have some ridiculous open teasers, and the Patriots are in those just because when you can bring them down, it seems like a game more often than not they find a way to win decently comfortable. But laying 2 touchdowns on the road, even for them, that's always a tough sell.
Yep, I think that is true.
Yeah, and we'll, starting another thing I think I want to do, and I try to do this, even if you're not a bettor, cognizant, taking a look at the player props. That's a way you can get at least a grasp of what Vegas thinks. If you have 2 guys, say you're saying, I think they're kind of equal. They're equal in price. I think ownership will be equal. Go to a prop site, and if one is over under receiving yards 65.5 and the other's 40, and if they're both, minus 110 on all of that, you should probably, Vegas, that 25 yards, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at Showdown.
I mean, you could also use my projections here at awesemo.com to do the same thing.
That's right. That's what I was saying to do that. There you go.
I use those against Vegas player props fairly often.
And that's something we definitely want to talk more about because, yeah, it is a good way to be cognizant of in a 1-game sample size, that's much more pertinent. See, those projections, what can't they do?
What can't they do? Tell the future. But, I mean, they can give you a best idea of what's
Despite
going
what
on.
some of the subs may or may not think.
Well, there's the occasional people who do think they tell the future. And it's like, hey, this guy didn't have a good night tonight, and it said it was going to. It's like, well, yeah, I mean.
Talk to John Gruden. Do you want to talk to Johnny Boy?
This guy's normally a 43% shooter, and he went 3 for 14 tonight. That's going to be trouble.
But that regression, that means the next time he's got to go 10 for 14.
He's due, yeah.
Yeah.
Also not true.
No, that's not how it works. I wish it was. But
Cool.
yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Yep. We're going to wrap it up here. Got any more?
No, I was just going to say, again, tomorrow it's going to be golf, the three of us. Fun tournament, though, so stop on by. Break Down the Shriners Open.
Yes. Should be a fun one. Excited for that. Excited to have someone else in the booth to spice things up a little bit.
Oh, wow.
It'll be good. Not that it's not spicy with us, Ben.
I hear you.
Perfectly
I
fine.
get it. That hurts.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Appreciate you, as always. If you can like us, that would be rad. And we will see you all tomorrow. And I have to turn it off.
Every time.